Are you a life coach who wants to make a difference in the world? Do you want to share your wisdom, passion, and experience with others? Do you want to grow your business and reach more clients? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need Life Coaching Today. Life Coaching Today is the largest platform on the web for life coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists who want to enhance their visibility, gain exposure, and connect with clients. Life Coaching Today is more than just a directory. It's a network of opportunities. By joining Life Coaching Today, you will get access to a magazine where you can be featured and connect with over 30 million subscribers. Be a guest to our podcasts with over 55,000 subscribers. A directory where you can showcase your profile, services, and testimonials to thousands of potential clients. And that's not all. Life Coaching Today also offers a free 30-minute coaching session on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you can be coached or meet your next client. A flexible pricing plan where you can choose the best option for your budget and goals. A dedicated customer service team where you can get help and guidance whenever you need it. So what are you waiting for? Join Life Coaching Today and take your life coaching career to the next level. Visit www.lifecoachingtoday.com and sign up today. Life Coaching Today, the largest portal on the web connecting coaches, therapists, and hypnotherapists.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Kiddada as Mara Gray, and I hope that you can hear me because I just realized I don't have my microphone with me. So I hope my microphone is up and loud enough for everyone and it's clear. I just want to say good morning again. I will say good morning from Zora too. Zora's in the room with me. I'm in my other room this morning because why not? Change it up. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you for joining me so early in the morning with Life Coaching Today presents with me, Kiddada as Mara Gray, your conflict coach. And I am super awake this morning. I've got my coffee, shouting out Kip Vision in Atlanta. I did a project with them many moons ago. Great school for young people, and the teachers there are fantastic. I am awake. I've been up way too early this morning. As you see, if you can see me all, I have done my hair, redone my hair, washed my hair, flat ironed it, did all the things the natural girl way this morning. So I am super excited. We have a great show today with some fantastic women, some that you have seen before, like Angeline Payne. Lord, I hope I pronounced that sister girl's name correctly. And then Jennifer Simmons, one of my other friends, and my other girlfriends, Hammer Stevens. We're going to talk about something that I know I am always slow on the game of social issues, or not really, because I'm in the social justice space, but I'm not in the space of listening to, I don't know what the phrase is. I have to look it up. Like when, you're dealing with all of people's issues in the media and all of that stuff, right? So I'm not explaining that very well, but you'll get it when I tell you more. But this is we're coming upon the last few days of International Women's History Month, or Women's History Month. So yay. Thank you guys for rolling with me this month of March. I swear February, we zipped through it. And then March, I'm not too sure what was happening. It was one day it was fast. Another day it was slow. It was we were hot. I don't know what's going on. But we made it, right? We're heading into April, which is my birth month. Y'all get y'all presents together so y'all can send me the presents. And so, yeah, I'm excited. So today we're going to talk about something called bimbo feminism. And let me just say this, we might use some words today that might be a little challenging for some. Please do not take offense. We are adulting here today. If it is beyond your sensitivities to hear certain language, just know it's all right. We are not here to harm anybody. We're here to challenge, and we're here to kind of define certain things. And today we're going to have a discussion about bimbo feminism, which is an aesthetic, an ideal around, look at that, there's my girl, an aesthetic and an ideal from Gen Zers. And so this is really at the highest level, right? It's claiming through the femininity of the patriarchy and the stereotypes. And this is like a fun little gif because it is super, super hyper feminine. It is also super, super girly. It is super, super like pro everything, pro life. No, no, not pro life. I'm sorry, pro abortion. If you are for, Black Lives Matter, if you are for trans and gay rights. And so it's also like way far left and Marxist and, but it's all by young women. And so it's, it's interesting. So the other day I was minding my business listening to NPR because I love a good NPR. And this is how I heard about this bimbo feminism or bimbo TikTok conversation, because apparently I am a year and 3 months late. So, which is interesting because I just don't, I'm so caught up in other things about life for people that I totally miss this. And so we're going to talk about how this is in relationship to like Barbie. How does bimbo core or bimbo TikTok or bimbo feminism, what does that look like in relationship to girl power? What does that look like in relationship to the patriarchy? So it's interesting that this word came about because I was like, wait a minute, the word bimbo, like that's not cute. Um, and it gave me, just like for most of us, I think we all understand what or a bimbo originally is defined as, but I promise you we're going to get it wrong, because, and I'm smiling because I think it's so interesting, y'all, and it makes me kind of happy because I love a good definition, because when you can define things, you hold power. Think about that, because the person that defines something holds power. Because if you can get the world to buy into it, then you hold power because you have just changed a serious and huge dynamic. So, a little bit of history around the word bimbo before we bring on our guest. So, bimbo actually originated in Italy, if you know the word bambino, bambette, that kind of thing. So, it was actually related to men, right? That's a bimbo was a man. Who knew? And then, so we don't think about it that way. And then in the 1920s, it changed because a man, it's always men, y'all, decided to write a song about his bimbo that was down the way, right? And so it was in the song during the flapper era, the 20s and the 30s, which I found really fascinating. So it totally flipped. And the bimbo aesthetic, meaning what a bimbo looked like, was in the 19s and 20s was a curvy woman who was sexually active, who kind of didn't have, like, she wasn't the smartest, right? And then it has, the word bimbo has traveled, and then that meant if men use that against women, and women kind of claim the word to refer to a woman as a slut or a slutty woman who was very promiscuous. She also did not have a huge intellect, or she was an airhead, right? We know that language too. And then in the early 2000s, apparently under critical feminism, and I know that some of you all don't believe in feminist theory nor history, that it changed, and it started to change with feminism. And so I find that particularly fascinating, because once again, when you are able to define a word, you hold power. However, when you are also in the space of redefining and reclaiming a word, I question, do you still hold power? Because that imagery is already out there, right? The definition, every word in the definition paints a picture for all of us that is stuck in our head. And I think the main word that is out there is the N word, right? And I don't want to get censored. I don't know if I should say it, but as a offense, right? Not being offensive, but we know what the word nigger means, right? We have an imagery. We understand that from movies and songs and just people using it to harm other people. We know what that means. And we have had the opportunity, African Americans, Black people over the diaspora have reclaimed that word to hold power in a different way. And they're still fighting around that, right? We still fight about, can we say it? And is it powerful? And if it's not. And so now you have the word bimbo, right? And so bimbo, the reclamation of the word bimbo is from the Gen Z crew, my daughter's age, and they are talking about like on Bimbo Talk. I'm not a big TikToker. I'm very rare that I'm on TikTok, but it's the Gen Zers have reclaimed the word bimbo, and then they have defined it and attached it to bimbo feminism. And with that being said, I just want to say, because I had this rousing conversation yesterday around this idea of why do we have to name things? Everything needs a name. And it was kind of like, well, that's interesting, because sometimes some names are long lasting. Some names just kind of come and go and they just miss, and and some catch on. And I think bimbo feminism is one of those things too, unless you're in the space of feminist studies at university, unless you are really in depth in diving into what does femininity look like and the different types of femininity. So that's what we're going to talk about. Yoruba, can we throw back up that little GIF again? Because I do want to point something out about bimbo feminism. Now, if you look at this young woman that's on here on the play of this and all the wordplay, it's intentionally done because she is super, super girly, or what they're saying is hyper feminine. You see that some of the words are misspelled. So there's not a need to feel like we have to spell things the correct way. You can be super girly. You can be super fun. With feminism, we have defined it as pink. Right. And so it's just fun. It's just, we are out here. This is what women are saying. And what the Gen Zs are saying is that, listen, I no longer have to stand with the ideal that has been created by the patriarchy. Some women in the Gen Z are saying, well, guess what? I may not be that smart. And even if I am intellectually gifted, I don't have to prove it to you. And I went, I understand that. I understand if I'm intellectually gifted, I don't have to prove that to you. I like that. Also, this bimbo feminism is encompassing and embracing everyone. So you can be gay, you can be trans, you can be drag, you can be a man who's just like, listen, I am tired of dealing with the patriarchy. I no longer want to deal with this. So we're going to go to break, and then we're going to bring on all of my guests this morning. We're going to quickly introduce themselves because I have a question for them at 7, I don't even know what time it is, 7:14 a.m. So on to the next thing. We'll see you in a few minutes or a few seconds. It's going to be like.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcasts, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, Have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Ooh, and we are back. Good morning. Good morning. I see Miss. Oh, Tamara got her glasses on this morning. Good morning, Jennifer. Everyone, unmute yourselves.
Good morning. How's everybody?
Good. Good. I see Miss Green is coming on. Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to have you guys on this morning, and thank you. I know it's early. I owe everybody listen. Don't do that. Don't give me that look like, yeah, y'all.
What?
I understand it's early, but in other parts of the country, it's in the world, it's late. Okay, so
Give it to us, girl.
It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. So please, Miss Jennifer and Tamara and Angeline, I need you all to quickly introduce yourselves to the audience. And you can use whatever titles that you want. You just give the audience whatever you want to give them this morning. And because I have a question for y'all first thing this morning.
Well, I don't know who's going to begin first. I guess I'll go first. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Kiddada, for having us on this morning. I'm excited to jump into this topic. My name is Jennifer Simmons, and I have been, I'm a native Atlantan. I've been a political consultant for about 15 years, and it's just been a real delight to see kind of the landscape changing. We find ourselves in a really interesting place this year. And so, again, I'm excited about jumping into the topic today.
Thank you. Tamara, you just look like you got something to say.
I'm barely awake. It's 6:45. I'm texting Kiddada. Do I have to be camera ready or can I just crawl out of bed?
Told her she's super cute this morning. She is super cute. It's all good.
I threw on the pink glasses. That's about as good as you're getting. So I'm Tamara Stevens. I'm also a native Atlantan. And have worked in the volunteer space, organizing in politics since about 2007 with the Democratic Party. And I'm a business owner also.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angeline Payne. I am a presidential candidate for the 2024 election. And I'm also a community advocate, the president of South Fulton Human Services Coalition. And I am by way of Long Island, New York, a Georgian for the last 36 years.
All right. Welcome, ladies. I want to shout out Joyce Barlow, one of our sister girls in South Georgia. Hey, good morning, Joyce. Thank you for joining us. Another political spectacular woman. So I have a question for y'all, and I'm trying not to be messy this morning, but I am going to be messy. So why not? So let's get into it. So my first question, and it's leading to somewhere. So Tamara, I'm going to ask you, has a man ever come to you and said, you would look so much better if you would smile?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. How did that? So that's the question. And tell me, what was your reaction? How did that make you feel?
Well, normally when I come across someone like that, I try not to immediately be offended, but more flip it on them. Like, well, what is there to smile about? Or your behavior, is it making me want to smile? Or, just kind of throw it back at them.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm like, I'll smile if I want to smile. I'm a pretty smiley person. So if I'm not smiling at you, you kind of messed up.
So your reaction is, I'm going to flip it to them and then make it seem as if like there's nothing that they're giving per se that makes you want to smile.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Jennifer?
Well, yeah, I've gotten, can I get you to smile quite often? Whether you consider that, for some women, it's like a cat call. For me, I don't let it sink that deep. You know what I'm saying? If it's casual conversation or casual passing, especially being a Southern woman, for me, it's not been so offensive, but I definitely am in that space where I can see, listen, I'm not looking to be engaged in that way.
Mhm.
I'm with Tamara in terms of I have oftentimes flipped it back, like what is there to smile about, or why is it so important to you that I smile?
Wow. Okay. Okay. Miss Angeline.
All right. I'm going to let everyone know I'm from the older generation. I can now say that, being over 60, and I am that girly girl. I played with Barbie dolls all of my young life, had the set, had the house, and had the whole, enjoyment of being able to be during that time when Barbie did come out. So I'm one of those people, as you can see now, I smile all the time. I'm happy all the time. And I haven't had that occasion for a male to ask me, why aren't you smiling? Because I'm always smiling. I'm always happy to engage with people. And I guess I just really see our male counterpart in a different perspective than others. I find nothing offensive about them, especially when they're asking me questions. I just engage with them and have that conversation.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that. Like, so I asked that question because one thing about the bimbo feminism world is the relationship with it to the patriarchy, right? The standards that have been created by men to define what womanhood is, what femininity looks like. Like, I've had men walk up to me and say, well, what you would look so much prettier if you were smiling. And I guess maybe it's the New York girl in me, maybe it's the Caribbean girl in me, but I'm like, listen, I am not here for you. Okay. So I don't, I am not here for you. So I don't know why it is you were invading my space to come and tell me what I should look like. Right. And so I am, I am glad to hear the different perspectives around, like, I'm going to flip it back on you or whatever, because maybe I'm a bimbo, y'all. I don't know. I was just like, wait a minute, maybe I am a bimbo. Because, like, I am literally not here for you. And so that is one of the major talking points around, bimbo talk, right? Is it, as a woman, my femininity as a woman, is it for me or is it for the patriarchy? And so intellectually, who is it for? Why am I here and who am I participating in this world with? Because we know the patriarchy defines the way that we speak, the way that we're supposed to show up, whether or not we got up this morning and said, okay, let me put makeup on or not wear makeup. Because actually, I just read an article about a young woman who was up for a VP position, in VP and HR, mind you. And she did not get the job. And she said, well, I followed up to determine why it is I didn't get the job. And they said it's because she didn't wear makeup and she did not look professional. And I was like, well, that's interesting. That is interesting. So, Andelin, I saw your face when I was talking about, am I here for the patriarchy? What challenged you in that space?
Well, a lot of time we as women always are so emotional about things that are happening around us, especially that doesn't involve us as what that issue is going around. And when someone says to me patriarchy, that starts to put men in a box, in a space, as though all men behave this way. When men interact with us, they behave this way. And I find it very peculiar when we as women take that on offensively, as though they're trying to do something for to us. What I know about men is that they love women. They don't care how they have to take them. They love them. They don't care if you have on pink fingernail polish, black fingernail polish. They love women. And I find it very peculiar that we take on what others say that men feel about us as the opposite sex to them. And I just don't see men that way. I don't put them in a box. When I engage with a man, I don't think that he's trying to overtake me or that he wants me to behave some kind of way. I've always dealt with men who actually take me as who I am, who I present myself as. I don't try to dumb myself down or put myself up to match anything that a man feels or thinks about me because I'm presenting myself to them. I'm not presenting a caricature, which what a bimbo is. I'm not a cam girl. I'm not a fans only girl. I am a woman who lives in society, and that's what I expect and how I approach the opposite sex, letting them know just who I am. And when I engage with them, like I'm in the political world, so that I'm always dealing with individuals who are in my sphere. I don't hang out, so I don't have to run into individuals who are, I would say, intoxicated and or high or just not in a professional realm where I would be dealing with someone like that. I'm 63 years old. I have not had to encounter men like that. Like I'm from New York. I'm used to construction workers, while they're out when they're on their lunch break and women walk by and they're doing the catcalling and women either engage with them or ignore them. It's just not to say that all men behave that way, that is a pattern for men to be patriarchal like that. So I find it weird that we as women accept this as a behavior for men, and all men are not like that, but we're sticking them in this category. I mean, I love when someone gives me a compliment. I take the compliment and I go on about my day because that's just a temporary moment of dealing with someone. So I take that in as a temporary moment. This is how this person is feeling today. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I go on about my business. He's not looking to engage a total conversation. To me, is complimentary, but it's about the way that we carry ourselves as women.
All
Having
right.
someone over you is not appropriate to me.
So
I had a
go ahead, Tamara. Go
I
ahead,
just
Tamara.
want to expand a little bit on what you were saying about, the patriarchy and upholding patriarchal standards and men's role in this. What I would also say is men aren't the only ones responsible for upholding patriarchal standards. Women are also. And as a white woman, I am acutely aware of this because white women, I would argue more than most other demographics, we have a tendency to give over our power, dumb ourselves down, and all of those things that keep the patriarchy in power because we have this false sense of security that the men in our lives will save us, will protect us, will take care of us. And so upholding those patriarchal standards is of benefit to us. And that's why you see so many white women who have a tendency to vote against their own personal interests. It's because they have a false sense that, the men in their lives know better. And they're willing to hand over that power, something that I've met very few Black women that are willing to do that. So the patriarchy and this whole bimbo movement, the way that I see it and understand it, it's my husband calls it little woman syndrome. It's that, I need help. I can't do this. Can you handle this for me? And he doesn't have patience for that because obviously that's not me. So
If y'all know Tim,
Yes. I'm so glad that Tamara brought up the point about white women and it coming from a white woman regarding the patriarchy and how it benefits and how it is impacting our larger society. It is not lost on, I think, either one of us. She and I are about the same age. We're from the same area. We understand the dynamics of what it looks like in the metro Atlanta area, but that's a representation of the larger world. And when we're talking about, you can't just say a word like patriarchy and it not, be a sticking point, whether you have experienced as a married woman, a single woman, a younger woman. I think part of it is generational. We're having a conversation about bimbo feminism. And again, bimbo to us is going to mean something completely different than what it means to what is being reformed as in this movement, if you will. So I think that's a huge piece of, you're talking about TikTok, right? TikTok has been kind of the platform that we are discussing this from that vantage point. I remember the NPR article that was released recently. And I don't know how I feel about bimbo in terms of using something that historically, even if it didn't start that way, as a term of, it definitely wasn't a term of endearment. And to attach that to something as, for me, sacred as feminism, it's sacred in the sense that it was supposed to be about empowerment and addressing the patriarchy, regardless of our constituency lines, regardless of our demographic, right? And so for me, when I hear bimbo feminism, I'm challenged. I'm not upset, but I'm challenged to say, if I'm supposed to be lilting and, damsel in distress, if you will, because I need that softness to explain or to qualify, because it seems more of a qualification from my interpretation of what I've seen. I don't know that that's pushing us forward in a direction that is challenging the patriarchy the way that we should.
I like that. And that's what's interesting about this bimbo feminism. So like Tamara, just let you know, like you, sister, are the picture of bimbo feminism, right? It's a white woman that is strong, that is no longer kind of lilting, right? So it's definitely not like a little woman kind of thing. It's the direct opposite of the trad wife or the traditional wife movement, right? Like, listen, we have to say this, that Gen Zers, they are reclaiming words that we have already been using, that we have lived through. And so it's new to them. It's not new to us. It's only new because they put a hashtag in front of it, right? So trad wife, they shorten the words. No disrespect, y'all, but come on. Like, so if you ask us, I'm 48, traditional wife is not a new thing, but it's new to them, right? This whole aesthetic that they're going through. And so it's interesting, Jennifer, because we bring up that relationship between white women versus Black women, because I know the word bimbo for a Black woman, and I'm going to speak in a large scale. So if you don't agree, sisters, that's okay. Like Blackness and Black womanhood, our sexuality in relationship to bimbo cannot be reclaimed. I just don't think it can be, because our livelihoods, our history is so entrenched and engrossed in sexual favors, behaviors, rape, all kinds of things around the patriarchy. And that is just true. And so that is something that I don't know for a Black woman if we could actually redefine. I flinch at the word bimbo. I think that there's some other words, maybe I don't know that we could use, but that's the word that they used. And so Jennifer, I want to hear your thoughts about that. Like, how do you reclaim that word? How is it possible to reclaim that word as a Black
I'm speaking, no, and I agree with the sentiment that you're coming from. So not just as a Black woman, but for Black women historically, right?
Yeah.
And the spaces that we sit in, whether it's professional, personal, in the community, for Black women to take a word that has been as polarizing as bimbo for Black women, that would essentially, and we're talking about something that's being used in social media as an example. So like you said, the hashtag, if you're putting hashtag bimbo feminism, the reaction that I'm going to get in the spaces that I'm in, if I were to try to reclaim something like that, that would be laughable. I would be laughed out of my home, community, any professional meeting. I would be looked at as, Jennifer, do we need to take you to be seen? You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, nothing against our Gen Zers. We need them as voters. We need them to be engaged. We need them to claim ownership on the things, but I think it's an issue of education and inclusivity. We have to be the purveyors of, okay, we hear what you're trying to do, but to specifically answer your question about Black women, it is absolutely a detriment and nothing that we could ever reclaim, in my humble opinion, because the over-sexualization, infantilization, all of those kind of psychological terms, not to get too heady, it would put us in more peril than it would push us forward.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here's something else that I found very interesting in the space of this bimbo feminism, that it is counter to the girl boss, right? So femininity has taken on so many different realms, right? So we have at one point in time, it was kind of like the claim of the burning the bra. And then it was just like, you have all the way to Barbie core, right? Like the girly girl, the pink, and then you had the hyper feminine, and the hyper feminine could mean whether you're just wearing pink, but it could be like this idea of, do I look like a sex worker? Now, hear me out when I say this, because I found this very interesting too, that the way that we dress as women can fall into this idea of being hyper feminine, over sexualized. In the bimbo talk generation, the ones that claim that, they're like, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. If I want to wear stacked heels and if I want to wear tons of makeup, that's okay. That is the aesthetic that I choose. However, when we look at the girl boss aesthetic, right, there's a professionalization, there's minimal makeup, your hair has to be a certain way, and that is defined by the patriarchy. And so when I heard that, I was like, well, that's interesting, because they said, a lot of people said girl boss, I'm going to call it a theory, is so tiring. It is absolutely tiring to be a girl boss, because you are trying to meet the standards of the patriarchy. You have to be intellectually gifted. You have to be able to present a certain way. And therefore, how is it that are you making it as a girl boss? Are you a girl boss, Tamara? Because you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Are you a girl boss?
Yeah, well, and I absolutely am, and I also, because the industry that we're in is in construction. But I guess one of the things that I'm a little perplexed about is, you talked earlier about this need for Gen Z to label everything, and I don't know, personally, I feel like I'm constantly moving in and out of those realms depending upon the situation. Like, what I'm going to wear out with my girlfriends, is going to be a lot different than what I'm going to wear out on a construction site, or what I'm going to wear if I'm going down to the Capitol lobbying, or, it's what is this need to maintain one image? Like, can we not just have a level of like appropriateness, or I don't know. I don't know. I don't like how everybody wants to label and just be like, you have to be this, and this is your role, and this is where you're going to stay in your lane, and not dress or do anything else, instead of just being authentically who you are, and recognizing that, there's different spaces for different things. And yeah, I mean, I would look ridiculous. I mean, I love sequins. I'm a girly girl. I love sequins, but I'm not going to wear sequins out on to go meet with a bunch of athletic directors at a high school. Yeah, I'm just not going to do it.
I want to speak to that, but I agree with the labeling has just gotten, I think, again, social media, there's such a separation.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting in these little boxes. We're all sitting in these little boxes. And in the attempt to communicate, to actually relate to each other, I think that some of our young people, if we're using just kind of the bimbo feminism as our talking point, that that's their socialization. That's where I go with it. They're trying to socialize how they view the world, their worldview, if you will. I have a 23-year-old and a 24-year-old young men. And when I hear them communicate, part of what you said, Tamara, as far as the labels, it's just a little much. Like each day it's another hashtag for what we're supposed to, whether it's what we're wearing, how we're showing up at an event, because each event has a hashtag. Each concert has a hashtag. Social, even if you talk about the Capitol, everything that we are doing has a label attached to it now. Now that's a construct that we've all contributed to, but keeping to the point of the patriarchy, I wanted to bring up the point that I'm not one that I've been married and I've been single for the past 11 years. What I want to say that as a wife, my life wasn't dictated around my husband in terms of what I wore or how I identified myself. And in the same manner, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, I'm not identifying what I wear or how I present myself based on the patriarchy, but I have to be aware of it, because if I'm not aware of it, then I'm still going to be dealt with, if you will, approached in a manner as though I'm supposed to know that the patriarchy is in control. So what do we do with that? You know what I'm saying? How does that play into, if you're saying we're going to reclaim bimbo feminism? Well, reclaim what exactly in relation to how you are viewed professionally, socially, sexually, anyway?
Right. I see that it's interesting because, Tamara, I'm stuck on the word appropriateness, right? Because we have to define, because I don't know where appropriate came from, right? Like I'm a Caribbean girl, and my grandmother and my great grandmother, may they rest in peace, my great grandmother, she grew up during the Queen Victorian era, right? And if you don't know, like the aesthetic of feminine women came from the Queen Victoria era. She was very dainty. She's the one who defined what femininity looks like in regards to dress. Okay, I want to be clear about that. And so and of course, with colonization and what England and the Queen and how they behaved, we absorb some of that, whether people want to believe it or not. So I know I go out in public dressed a certain way because I'm like, I don't want my grandmother coming from the grave and snatching me, right? Because I have to look a certain way. But but my 25-year-old daughter, we still have strong conversations around, like, listen, I need you when we go outside. I need you to look a certain way. You cannot be in jeans or shorts. And sometimes she dresses she says she has like a white frat boy aesthetic. My little black daughter, that's what she says. So she's in a t-shirt and khakis, and I'm like, oh Lord, but it's just kind of like, what in the world is going on? Because I'm stuck on appropriate, right? And because where did appropriate come from? And if it did come from men, are we attaching ourselves to that because to be appealing aesthetically for men, right? I have to wear a dress at this point in time, or I have to wear slacks in a business meeting. And as you said, like women do hold down the patriarchal standards too, right? If I can sit in front of a woman and she's just like, listen, that chick needs to put on some makeup today, right? Is that appropriate? But I do want to address Missy. Hey, good morning. Edward, good morning. So the word bimbo originated, right, with somebody who was attractive and unintelligent, a frivolous young woman. However, bimbo now is being reclaimed by the Gen Zers, and they're saying that it is a space of I can be unintelligent if I want to. That's okay. But more so, they're pushing that I am intelligent. And because of my level of intelligence, I don't have to prove it to you. I don't have to meet your standards. I don't have to prove myself. So that's part A to the definition. And then part B of the definition is that they might be Marxist in their political ideology. They're definitely leftist in their ideology. They are definitely liberal, probably to the extreme more than I am probably liberal. And so they're just saying, like, listen, this is who I am. I'm going to be fun, carefree. There's some of them out there that's actually saying like they don't even have to work. I don't understand that because I don't know how
I'm going to decide that. You know what? I don't have to work.
I don't have to work.
I don't have to do any of it because it doesn't feel good.
It does. It's and it's funny because a young woman literally said, she was like, "We're not made to work," and I don't know.
What are you made to do? Sit on TikTok all day?
But she doesn't.
This is nonsense. See, this is the issue. They've got too much damn time. If they jobs and were working, they wouldn't have to worry about bimbo.
That part. Seriously.
And that's what is so adorable as a Gen Xer. Gen X, we're the feral generation.
Yes, absolutely.
We raised ourselves. It's just like and meanwhile, Gen Z, they're trying to find themselves and they think they're being so clever and coming up with new stuff. Girl, they're not.
The clever part. The fact that we celebrate some of these Gen Zers are making a lot of money by being clever. So that's the other part too, like the clever in their circle, not in ours. You know what I'm saying? Right, but because that's catching on, honestly, when I looked a little deeper into just the whole terminology, it's like, okay, bimbo feminism. I get the notion that you don't feel empowered by working hard, which is, and that's the antithesis to anything Gen X, like literally.
Oh gosh, I feel old, y'all. I feel old right now.
No, I refuse to accept old. No, ma'am. I don't.
We are vintage. We are not right. We are vintage.
Didn't Dion Cole tell us that we're vintage?
Oh my gosh,
we are vintage.
We may have to have a part 2 to this conversation because I know we have some, and I may have to wake my daughter up really early. She's out in Kansas to have certain conversations because the Gen Z and I don't even know, millennial, Gen X women, because there's some things that I'm like, I need y'all to understand some stuff. Like there are some things about this world that you have not understood yet. And my daughter is a firm believer in work, so she likes to work. But she is definitely not like, oh, well, I need to be girly. And that's not an aesthetic that everyone has. Like I didn't embrace the color pink until I was probably in my late 30s. And that's not to say that pink makes you feminine, right? And so history moment, I just want to say this because I love a good history moment. This idea of what blue for boys and pink for girls actually came from out of England. Actually in the United States, the very first department store. So clothes were created for little people, right? And they weren't selling. So they decided to go, okay, well, it was a marketing thing, right? So I can't remember if it was England or the United States, but it came out of department store marketing. And they decided to, okay, if we assign different colors for children, then let's see if this works. And it did, because everyone caught on to boys always wear blue and girls wear pink, right? And so when I was absolutely opposed to pink for some odd reason, but I love pink now. And I have been accused of being hyper feminine, which I find very interesting. especially in the political space. And so, is there something to be said about where to be hyper feminine? Like, is your femininity too much? And this was a woman who told me that. I just want to say that. It was a woman who literally said, oh, Kiddada, you're always feminine. And I was just like, well, I'm supposed to.
Well, as women, we judge each other. Like women, women are going to always judge each other. I don't care whether we are in politics, like what we wear, how we show up, even here. Like, I was like, am I going to really put on lipstick? It's 7 a.m. Why would I do that? But
I'm
also
still wearing a bathrobe. I would just like
well, let me tell you something.
Like fashionable, I might say. But let's not pretend like and yes, I talk with my hands. Let's not pretend like we don't actually have some social norms that do evolve over time. And sometimes they don't. So when we're, again, getting back to our generation of what patriarchy means, it's going to be a sticking point, at least for me. Most of my friends, most of the people in my circle, you start talking about patriarchy, it's almost like, the big growl of, because we are entrenched in fighting against, raging against the machine, if you will. But to actually think, I just have a big question. What do we do with it? If we've got young ladies that think that they are empowered by being more feminine with the pinks and just kind of relaxing, because you all work so hard, you all don't know what it's like to just live, a lavish, peaceful, non-confrontational life. Like that's what I hear. That's what I'm hearing, and it drives me crazy. I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use my words this morning. But you follow what I'm saying? That to me, it seems like, on the one hand, they want to use these terms that I don't think they even fully understand their meaning, but it is a flashpoint because it gets likes, it gets hits, it gets, the momentum for them to, whether they're monetizing this or not, it gets them on these social media platforms. That's my honest take, that it gets them the attention that they want. And if that turns into money, great, because you've redefined something and now you've monetized it. So now I'm making more money than you, Mom. I'm making more money than you, Dad. And that's a real thing.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I just want to shout out. I want to say good morning, Edward. I want to say good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Debbie. And Missy said her daughter says that she's a young woman in her 20s. And I'm just going to read this part where she says that we should be able to manifest everything that we want, and real work is overrated. That's interesting. I mean, now, so let me just say this. Like, I've only been in white collar professions. And so for a lot of people, that would feel like that's fluff work, right? I've always been a consultant in some form or fashion in the IT space. And I don't know if that's deemed hard work. Versus going out and being a construction worker or going into plumbing or, those blue collar professions. And so it's interesting to me that we have raised a generation of young people that feel like work is overrated. Like,
well, we have technology to blame for that a little bit, don't we? And again, I'm for technology. I am about as progressive as within my family. My family is fairly conservative in terms of traditionally, but I don't understand. I have a big question mark. What is it that we've done that made work look so unappetizing? You know what I'm saying? It's just so unappetizing that as we have tried to teach the next generation, that they are now vehemently opposed, and I do mean vehemently opposed, to doing anything that remotely looks like you are going to be stressed out. It's almost like we're taking self-care to an extreme, that it's okay. I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong plenty of times before, but it just feels like, to say that I don't want to work and to be feminine, to be soft, and to label that with bimbo of any form where do you go with that? Like, what's the end game? Where do you launch that, and where does that land?
I don't know, but Tamara, you have sons, like I have sons, and we all have sons. So I have a question for you, Tamara.
Yeah.
What are you talking to your sons about this? Because I'm wondering, you know, I probably would feel some kind of way if my son brought home a young woman that was just like, listen, I don't want to work. And so I want to be, as I spoke about many moons ago, a traditional girlfriend, which is a young woman that just stays at home as a girlfriend. She's not engaged, she's not a wife. And so, and she's just like, listen, this is the life I'm leading. This is it. What are your thoughts about that? And she's just like, I don't want to work, period. Like, we're just going to suffer through this on your $48,000 worth of income, because that is the medium income for most men.
Well, so both of my boys they're very different from each other. One of my sons is at SCAD. He's a film student at SCAD. And for him, his whole thing is, he just, he tends to, be drawn, I guess, more to more artistic women who are in that film space and, kind of geeky and that kind of thing. Now, my youngest, who's 18, he graduated last year, and he's not going to college. He's taking over our business. He's working for our company. And I mean, we do hard physical labor. He's up in Tennessee right now installing a, 12,000 square foot basketball court. So, he works hard physically, and, is making good money. He's had one serious girlfriend when he was in high school, and she was very emo. And I mean, she looked like a little pixie anime character. I mean, cute as could be, but she was one of these that she had no interest in working, doing anything, nothing. And he got really kind of just bored with her. Like, it was just like, I mean, she was fun to look at. That's about it. That was about it.
Tamara, I almost feel like you described my own children, like just cut and paste.
Yeah.
Right.
What she said, because again, my 24-year-old, he's the artsy one. My 23-year-old is the IT professional.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I couldn't tell the story better than Tamara just did about real cute, but bored.
Yeah.
So when you think about, for women, the women that we are supposed to be mentoring in whatever capacity, whether it is directly your mentee or being that example in community, I think it's the charge is on us to define for them an example, to push back. At least that's where it's resting with me, to push back. Not saying you can't have that space and be expressive and say, I want to use this identifier. That's fine. We all went through that phase of being a young person and trying to decide who you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. But I think that in the absence of having real meaningful discourse about the topic, that we should be the women that we had before us in this moment.
Well, I know, like with my son, with my youngest, he, after that girlfriend, and he started working with our company full time, basically said, Mom, I never realized, how strong you were. He's like, because you're just my mom. And now he has a better appreciation for all aspects of me, not just as his mom, but, how I exist in the political space, how I exist in the business space, and being a mom and a wife, and watching the relationship that Matt and I have. But like Jennifer was saying about the women before, one of the reasons that I feel like I am the way that I am is in spite of my mom. Because my mom is hyper feminine, very submissive to my father.
Mm,
She allows him to dictate what she wears. You know, he
mm,
doesn't like her hair, so she wears wigs to make him happy. You know, and I mean, I remember as a kid going, "Oh, we got to get, get home so I can fix your dad lunch." I'm like, the man can't make a sandwich. Like, what do you mean we got to go home to fix him lunch?
Right.
And I have done exactly the opposite.
Mhm.
Like, I respect my husband. He can say, "Oh, I like that outfit," but if he tells me, no, he's not going to tell me you can't. I don't want you wearing that. I don't
Right.
like. I don't like. I'm like, okay, no.
But that's why I said that, because in the same manner, my mother's super dainty, super. You're talking about English, um, Caribbean. Listen, all of the doilies, all of the
yes, yes to the doilies. Yes, to the
all of the
doilies.
table dressing. The table is set for life,
Right,
not just the day.
right.
So, and I'm a tomboy, went the complete opposite direction. So when I say guide, be a guide for, that's still standing in our truth as a result of the things that's not going to work in our generation. And who do we even know that what we're doing is going to last another generation? We don't know that. But I would suffice it to say, at least challenge the notion. Hey, let me give you some foundational understanding of what these words mean before you decide to ascribe yourself as an identity to that. That's
Right.
where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I appreciate this conversation so very much. And Tamara, I don't know your daddy, but I was this close to having to want to fight him. This close to wanting to fight him. Um, just this close. But I think that I flinched about the in spite of, right? Because I think that our generation of women, we now can reflect back and see to know what is unhealthy, what is toxic. We
Mhm.
saw it with our mothers, with our grandmothers. And if we were blessed with like a mother like mine who actually shared her stories with me, right? And so I was like, okay,
Yes.
check the spots off. Like this is
Right.
unhealthy. I don't want that. And I feel like we need to do this in partnership because I think we can redefine in partnership with younger women what does womanhood look like, right? Forget all the femininity, forget all this, just womanhood at a basic level. What does it mean to be a
Yes.
woman? What does it look like to interact with men? What does it feel like to interact in the world as a woman, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all? And presidential candidate Payne, welcome back. And we only have a few more minutes because our sister girl, my producer Yoruba, definitely has to go pray because it is Ramadan season. So, Ms. Payne, since you
It
are
is.
back, I want you to
Yes.
share some thoughts with us. Hopefully, you were still listening. So, I don't know if you had some additional thoughts before we close.
Most definitely. It is early morning. And yes, I did have some technical difficulties. But I do want to say that it is very important that we understand that as women, we have to have that tether to our grandparents and, excuse me, our grandmothers and our mothers. And we have to take that torch and give it to our young women. They don't have their way. We have a life journey as women that we go through, and we have to be able to know what it is, what our responsibility is. We are the stake in all communities. When people look for things, they look for women because we're in the community, we're there, we're available for them, and we should be there because they have to have a foundation. A child should never come to a home where there is no parent there. There should be at least a parent there to assist them. They barely have an hour of our time, especially in today's society. You would think that we would have more time. That's what all the wealth is about. Get wealthy so you can have more time. But that is not been a truth. The more that you run after the dollar, the less time that you have. So I understand the young women talking about, well, I don't have to work. I shouldn't have to work. It's not traditional work as we know about, just like traditional wives is not as they used to be, but we still have wives. And that does mean something within our society. We have young ladies. That does mean something in our society. We have mature women, means something in our society. So we are partnered together to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do within the human race, which is, of course, to go forth and be fruitful. We are the givers of life, and we know that we are the givers of life. And there's just a particular way that we're supposed to behave when we are nurturing the children that come into this world, giving them back what we got. You can only give a person what you have. That's what education is all about, having that foundation so that others can stand on that foundation solidly, knowing that this what mom does, this is what dad does, me as a child as I'm growing up, these are the things that I need to do. You never have to step outside of that unless you're made to step outside of that because of the conditions that were given to you or the labels that you've picked up. It's very important that we understand that we have to give back. So for me to give back, I have to know who I am. I have to know what my path is. I can't just be out there willy-nilly, airhead, trying to let someone know that, oh, it's okay to be that way, because within your generation, that may not be true, because we come from different eras and different things are expected of us from the eras that we come from. And we have to know what someone else's era was like. And can I pick and choose from that era to do what I'm doing to move the next generation forward? Because we
Thank you
don't
for
want
that.
anyone to get stagnated.
Yeah, thank you for that. Now I'm feeling some kind of way again because I'm like, era? I'm in an era? Lord have mercy. All right. So I'm like,
We've gotten that old, yes.
I'm vintage now. I'm 48. I'm vintage. I'm in an era. Lord help me, Jesus. Okay. So Jennifer, what is it that we're going to close on this? And so what advice would you give young women, the Gen Z women at this time that are seeking an identity? What would you give?
I think the thing that I meet everyone, young women, young men. Obviously, I have young men that I'm responsible for legally, even though they're adults. But the young women that they have dated or the ones that they've grown up with, because my children grew up with a very nuclear family. And so that's another, it's an identifier. Everybody doesn't have a nuclear family. And so I'm keenly aware for young women, especially whether there's foster care, there's so many dynamics. There is not one size fits all. That's what I want to definitely try to close with in this Women's History Month. We all come from different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds. And so I try to, with young women, empower them from where they are. And when you can empower them with tools and language where they are, like identify, you may not agree with, I don't agree with bimbo feminism, but if I came across a young lady that thought, I finally see myself in that phraseology, right? I would not go in with the knife or the jugular and just tell her, oh, you are so wrong, and let me tell you how you're supposed to live your life. No, absolutely not. I would encourage her, that she's reading. She is engaging, like fundamentals, right? She's engaging in a manner that makes me excited that you are socially aware. Because let's be clear, a lot are not socially aware or politically inclined or otherwise. So if that's the road that leads to a more proficient conversation, that's what I would tell a young lady.
Awesome. I love it. Tamara?
I would pretty much just say, never let anyone dim your light.
Yes.
And don't dumb yourself down.
Yep.
You know, I mean, there's one thing to, be uninformed, be uneducated, but don't feel the need to diminish who you are to make someone else comfortable. And just be authentically yourself and find strength in that.
I love it. I love it. So we are going to close. Thank you all for joining me today on Life Coaching Today Presents. I just want to say a few things. And so let me first say this, that being educated is not a bad thing, ladies, young women. It is a blessing to truly utilize your intellectual gifts that God gave you. And that is for you, not for anyone else. So please be educated. I need you all to finish high school. I need you all to at least get an associate's degree, because that is a protection for yourself, right? Moving into the world that we're moving into. If you choose to be a traditional wife, a traditional girlfriend, make sure that you have your own protections financially, because this world seems to be getting more and more expensive. Okay. The goal in life is to lead a happy, healthy, whole life. That is my mantra. Figure it out. Ask us older women.
Vintage.
Girl, it's okay. It is okay.
Ask us vintage women. How is of the? I'm going to say this, as of the Tiffany realm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of the Tiffany realm. Ask the Tiffany girls, right? How to get to where you want to get to, right? And men out there, if you have daughters, have these conversations. I love that I've had men in this chat, like, what is going on? I need to ask my daughter. Do that. Have these conversations with them. And so thank you all for joining me. And as we close out the month of March, and as we are moving into April, y'all, I am declaring April Men's Month. So we are going to celebrate men. So,
Yes.
I've got some fascinating stories coming. We're going to celebrate men. We're going to challenge men. And I have, like, y'all, I'm going to say this. I have Les Brown coming on. Y'all, I am excited because I did not have to pay to have him come on my podcast.
Girl.
So
Media.
a great day. And yes, Tiffany, good morning. You can definitely watch on replay. So everyone, thank you. I owe y'all a little glass of wine. Angela, we need our eggs. Tamara, we need to figure out where you got that robe from, girl, because I was like, that is the outfit that she had on this morning. So we need the link. Jennifer, early happy birthday wishes. And sis, thank you, ladies. All right, talk soon. You guys have an awesome day.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Gray and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.